heard of The Secret? But have you heard of the secret behind the secret? It is no secret that I love the human brain. I think it is the most complex, amazing mass of tissue that is filled with untapped potential and processes and algorithms that we might never fully understand. Your brain literally keeps you alive, allows you to do and be whatever you want, and it is the seat of consciousness as far as we know. But the fact of the matter is, we don't fully understand just how powerful or capable the human mind is. Today, I want to dive more into the magical, mystical part of human consciousness. Today, you and I are going to sit down and talk about how we manifest people and events and objects into our lives, what the underlying processes behind these manifestations might be, and why it is so important to be conscious about the kind of thoughts and emotions that we are feeding into our subconscious minds. If you like this video and this kind of topics, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below so I know to make more of these. And with all of that said, let us now dive into the surprisingly real world of manifestation. So for this video, I'm going to work off of some basic law of attraction concepts. In case you're new to this idea, it's basically a theory that whatever you think about, you bring about. Your subconscious mind is a powerful magnet, and anything that is constantly running through the subconscious will invariably manifest into your life. I was introduced to the law of attraction at a very young age. I think I was about 12, and I've definitely used it to manifest big and small things. For instance, just the other week, I manifested some Bluetooth headphones. The audio jack on my phone is broken, and I can't be bothered to get used to a brand new phone to begin with, so a Bluetooth headset seems like the perfect compromise, right? And what do you know, within a couple of weeks of putting the intention out, I got my brand new top-of-the-line Bluetooth headphones for the low price of $3.99. No, I'm completely serious. I didn't even pay shipping. And then, as soon as I was done writing the script for this video, I was gifted another pair of free Bluetooth headphones, which is crazy to me. The point is, this stuff has worked for me time and time again, but what really fascinates me is some cool neuroscience-based theories I came across recently. I'll try my best to explain it in a way that won't make you want to scream, so here it goes. Your conscious mind usually involves what we call the neocortex, or the new brain. This is the cerebral bits that control sensory and motor function, decision-making, and strategic thought. As you can guess, the neocortex in humans is absolutely massive compared to the more ancient brain structures, and that is why we are capable of creative thought and the kind of advancement we have made. Your old brain, however, is your survival brain. These are the bits that work just under conscious perception, and they regulate things like heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, hormones, etc. Basically, your old brain does all the automated work to keep your body alive and in balance, also known as homeostasis. When it's hot out, your old brain causes you to sweat. When you're scared, your old brain causes your heart rate to spike, and so on and so forth. But here's the massive detail that most of us don't even realize. There is a brain structure called the thalamus that is a relay between your old brain and your new conscious brain. You see, pretty much all sensory input, apart from smell for some reason, first goes to your thalamus. And the thalamus acts as a sorting hat, deciding which input can be handled by the old brain and which ones need a conscious response from the new brain. So for instance, a cricket in the background could chirp away, but the thalamus knows that it's not important, so it allows that sound to stay in the background. But say you're asleep and there is a sudden banging sound, your thalamus knows this could be a threat and wakes you up. You now have conscious perception of that loud thud and can decide whether to investigate or just ignore it. So the thalamus sorts through all sensory input and decides which parts of it is manageable subconsciously through preset old brain circuits, and which parts need you to consciously respond in an unusual way through the new brain circuits. One interesting thing I found out about the thalamus though is that it doesn't actually amplify important sensory input, but rather works through filters. With our example from below, imagine you're asleep, right? At all times, your brain is constantly receiving sensory input. For instance, there is the steady hum of electricity, the soft breeze from a ceiling fan, the darkness, the feeling of your blanket on your skin, the warmth within said blanket, etc., etc. Basically, none of these things would be an immediate threat to your survival. However, when something goes bang in the middle of the night, that could be a gunshot or an explosion or someone breaking into your house. In other words, it could be a threat to your survival. So your thalamus needs to grab your conscious attention because responding to threats involves conscious decisions, right? You might need to run away or fight an intruder or protect your family. None of these things can be automated and you're forced to wake up. But the thalamus doesn't do this by amplifying the loud noise in your brain. Instead, it blocks all of the other inputs, the non-threatening ones, so that this one sounds extra loud. Like how when you're in a quiet exam room and suddenly the rumbling of your tummy seems to be amplified in 3D surround sound. Been there. So the thalamus doesn't make the main thing louder, it instead makes everything else super quiet. This will become relevant in just a second, so make sure you keep it in mind, yeah? So your old brain has one job and that is survival. But the society we live in today is one created by the new brain. Our hunter-gatherer days are well behind us as a species. Today we grow our own food, build our own shelter, create technology that basically takes care of all the menial important tasks. You see how the world outside of us is a reflection of how our brain works? Fascinating, right? So anyway, the point is, in the 21st century, basic survival is pretty much guaranteed. I'm not talking about diseases or poverty, but in theory, there are enough resources to feed every person in the world, to clothe them, to shelter them, and to allow them to reproduce. The fact that resources are very disproportionately distributed is a whole other topic for another day, but basically we are not fighting grizzly bears or chasing deer or protecting our caves from intrusive lions. Hence why our neocortex has grown so big. We as a species are now functioning from a completely different headspace than our ancient ancestors. But biology doesn't evolve at the same rate as society has. In other words, a large chunk of our brain is still in hunter-gatherer mode. It's like the default factory setting is to look for and avert danger and ultimately to survive long enough to reproduce. But the societal upgrades require us to have a smarter brain setting that is based on strategy and planning. And that is where memory comes in. You see, memory is another old brain function. Back in survival times, we probably relied on memory to help us find our way back home from the forest, or to avoid known predator tracks, or go fishing in a certain part of the sea where we know most fish live, or even to avoid berries that we learned are poisonous. Memory is what kept us alive back in the day. But just like with most other brain structures, memory is also a fear-based process. It evolved to help us remember what to avoid. And you can still see it today. It takes 1 million repetitions to create a good memory. You would need thousands of people to tell you that you're pretty before you start to believe it for yourself. But it only takes one bad event to scar you for life. Just one person out of the thousands could call you ugly, and that's the one that would stick with you forever. Like I said, memory is fear-based, and so it is way easier for negative, scary things to get into your long-term memory rather than happy, positive things. In essence, your old brain considers happiness to be an afterthought, and so your subconscious mind isn't really looking for things that make you happy or content. It is purely looking for things that could destroy you, so you can avoid those things. And as you can guess, that causes us to only see the awful negative things in the world around us, and therefore manifest more of those things in our lives. But the good news is that now that we kind of understand how this works, we can pull a very neocortex move and hack the system. You see, the old brain, your emotions and your memory, doesn't really understand which sensory inputs are real and which ones are fake. It only knows which ones will hurt you and which ones won't. You've probably done that lemon experiment. Stand in front of a mirror with your mouth wide open and your tongue pressed to the roof of your mouth. Now, think of a lemon. Instantly, you will start to salivate. Why? Because lemon juice is acidic, and saliva helps to dilute the acid and hence reduce the burn. Lemon is a threat, and because you have memories of the sourness, your old brain instantly went into survival to avoid the acid. But there was no lemon to begin with. There was only the thought of a lemon, right? Not even an actual real input, just the idea of the input. But your brain reacted as if there was a real stimulus. Bingo, we can now hack into the mainframe of the brain's code. The brain frame, if you will. Okay, I'll leave. So, with the law of attraction, the big key is to visualize. Imagine your ideal life. Try to visualize it in as vivid a detail as you can. Imagine driving your convertible with the top down as you pull up to the country club where you'll spend hours playing tennis with Bill Gates. Okay, maybe I've shared too much of my own ideal life, but the point is, with the law of attraction, they're constantly telling you to imagine and visualize it as if that ideal life is already yours. Well, when you do that, what you're essentially doing is hacking the brain. Like we just saw, the brain doesn't know what is real and what isn't. Is the lemon real? No, but you're still gonna react as if it is. Your brain only knows which memories feel good and which ones don't. And when you imagine that you're already living your perfect life, you're essentially planting fake happy memories into your brain. You're creating false inputs through your imagination, just like you did with the lemon, but your brain creates a very real response to it, as if it were real. What does this do? Well, for starters, I can imagine your ideal life is rather happy and peaceful and safe. And your old brain looks at this and goes, ooh, we're not gonna die, I approve. So now it has a new job to maintain this happy and safe new life. You're no longer in fight or flight mode in this new life, so the majority of the blood your brain receives can happily go to the important decision-making, critical thinking, reasoning centers of your brain. A direct result is obviously that you're thinking way more clearly, but remember that thalamus, the thing that selects which sensory inputs will keep you safe and alive? Well, the thalamus really loves this new life that we have. And so it is now going to work to help maintain this imaginary lifestyle, because as far as the thalamus knows, this is our real life now. And it is safe and it is happy, so to maintain this lifestyle is to essentially guarantee survival. And so the thalamus begins to filter in sensory inputs that help, quote, maintain this ideal life, and brings these inputs to our conscious mind. In other words, you are now going to be able to actually perceive things in your current environment that will actually bring you to that ideal life. Your brain is now going to bring you ideas, emotions, and opportunities that resonate with your ideal life, in the hope that if you have more great ideas and opportunities, we can all stay in that ideal lifestyle where we survive and thrive. And remember how I said it takes millions of good things to happen before a happy long-term memory is formed? That is exactly why they say that you need to visualize and imagine your end goal over and over again. It isn't because of some magical ritual you need to engage in. It is simply so that your end result is imprinted in your memory so deeply that your old brain starts to function from that headspace of your new ideal life. Now, obviously, there is way more to manifestation in a spiritual, energetic sense, and there is so much more I could talk about, but I thought this particular subsection of it hasn't been spoken about nearly enough. But if you guys do want me to dive deeper into this topic and maybe even share how I've manifested a crazy amount of cool stuff, let me know in the comments below or give this video a thumbs up and I'll definitely do it. So there we go, the law of attraction demystified. Obviously, we haven't even touched upon the spiritual, more energetic part of the law of attraction, but these are just some of my thoughts on how these things might all tie in together. I hope it's been as enlightening to you as it was to me, and that it hasn't been too complicated or crazy. As always, hit that subscribe button down below, leave this video a thumbs up, comment down below if there are any other cool, magical topics that you want me to cover, and I'll be happy to dive into it. Come find me on social media, all of the links are in the video description down below, come say hello. Yeah, with all of that said, I thank you so much for hanging out with me today, hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye!